You are listening to Thoom, the Retro Comic Book Show.
Are you ready for me? Here it comes, my friends.
Welcome to Thoom. I'm your host, Timmy Thoom. This episode, I'm joined by Derek Crabb from the History of Comics on Film website. Derek and I discussed the origin of Punisher, the latest cancellations and new additions to the DCNu, and we also talk about what's going on at the History of Comics on Film website. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Hi, my name's Bobby. I'm 18 years old.
Did you have a few minutes to talk about the cancellations of DC?
Yeah, let's talk about them.
All right.
Because there's what they announced. They canceled 6 books and then they announced 6 books.
I'll talk about the cancellations first, and then we're not just go through the names. And they canceled Black Hawks, which is like G.I. Joe, Hawk and Dove with Rob Liefeld, so thumbs up. Men of War, Mr. Terrific, OMAC. I hate when they do this. It's like you get these pop-ups and they start talking in your ear real loud.
Oh, what? It's like one of those advertisers. Or
I hate that. But the pop-up, okay, it's bad enough that it's a pop-up, but it doesn't pop up in front of the screen. It pops up from somehow.
Oh, it's like behind your window.
Yeah,
so
but it's got noise. Back in the day, it was just pop-ups, and you can just click them off. But now I was trying to talk to you and listen to you, and they yelling in my ear. We got to do something about this.
They're trying to be clever. See, that's what the Punisher's for, Tim. You send the Punisher after the programmers who make that stuff, because
you just start shooting other places, no questions asked.
Like, I was at a picnic, my family died, and now there are these pop-ups you have to pay. That's how it works, dude.
That's what I want to know about his origin too. His original, real basic origin, which is what they did here in Damage Control, which is his family and him at a park, and they show these mobsters, these old timey looking mobsters with fedoras and machine guns.
You see, there's also, if you get into the really, really deep psychological aspects of it, like Central Park is not as nice now as it was back in like 1971 or whenever the Punisher was created. So you gotta wonder about that, if there's some kind of self-destructive impulse there, because it's like, who has a picnic in the middle of Central Park back in the day? Like, it's like, it's kind of like when people, it's like when they said, oh, we're going to downtown New York, it means something different depending on when you were in New York and how cleaned up it was and stuff like that. So.
These mobsters, they killed a man in the park, and while the family this family's at a picnic and they happen to see it, and it's like, why are you killing a man in the broad daylight? But that's the Marvel Universe for you. Yeah. I'm like, that always perplexed me. His origin is like, why they kill him? The mobsters killing people in broad daylight in the park, but I'll move on to these cancellations. See, it's writing like that gets comics canceled. And speaking of cancellations, continuing, I said Black Hawks, Hawk and Dove, Men of War, Mr. Terrific, OMAC, and Static Shock. And then, of course, Mr. Terrific and Static Shock, two of the 3 black comic books, they got canceled. So down back to one comic title that has a black person in it.
So that's Batwing, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, based on that, I was just thinking, like, I guess you have to have the heat of Batman, like to sell that stuff. I have to admit, I only read the first issues of some of these titles. I'll just be upfront. I didn't think Static Shock was nearly as good as the Milestone version of it, but I guess it's not the same thing, really. But I didn't find it like that. At least the first issue wasn't enough for me to keep buying it or whatever. And I guess I'd say the same thing about Mr. Terrific, because I liked the character, but I liked him in like group settings where it was like, I thought he was cool in like Checkmate or like as a member of the JSA, and like I don't know, like I watched like a interview with, I guess, the writer, who wrote it on, I guess it was some kind of, I don't know, vidcast or whatever it was, but like, I don't know, those titles I wasn't feeling that much, so I never read past the first issue. So I don't know if they got better or not. I just kind of was like, I knew I didn't, I wasn't like super super into them. So I wasn't, I don't know, combined with, the fact that they, were trying to, I guess put out characters. Like, you would think Static has more media attention because his series, his cartoon got a bunch of awards and stuff like
But
that.
that was 10 years ago.
But yeah, that's true. That's true too. So it's like, I guess, to everybody else, it's not related to Batman or Superman or whatever. So maybe they don't pay attention to it that much. I mean, I guess in all the cancellation stuff, the fervor over it too. I actually have been reading OMAC, so I've kept up with that. But I mean, technically, that I think could be bunched together with those other two titles, because Kevin Ko is obviously an Asian character too, so that's another like lead character of a different ethnic descent that's on the cancellation block. And it could just be because OMAC's some weird shit, but OMAC was always weird. So I mean, I was enjoying what I read. Like,
this OMAC is stupid. This OMAC is like the old OMAC was smart, at least, or at least normal people smart.
Yeah.
And brother I will boost them up a little bit. But so I take it you like OMAC since you kept up.
I've kept up with that. I've read I think 5 is
you like
the 6th issue.
Is it because of the art, or you just?
I've always liked Keith Giffen, like, no matter, like, at least the art style, no matter what.
What about the story, the writing? Did you care about that?
I don't think it's horrible. Like, I'm enjoying it just because I think it's semi-fun, and I guess I have more of an appreciation for, like, some of that twisted kind of, like, stuff where they, it's kind of like he's being controlled and, basically, I mean, I enjoyed it. I kind of like, I was like, the whole, it's like he doesn't want to be a part of it, and then he gets into a situation where then he has to use it, and stuff like that. And the fact that the guy's freaked out. Like, I enjoyed the fight he had with Frankenstein, because that's another issue that it was not canceled, but, like, I read the first issue of it, and I didn't like it. So I was kind of rooting for OMAC to kick Frankenstein's ass. What? Ray Palmer's your bitch, and you're the lead character, and what? And the little girl's a dude, and what? And
probably because the writer Jeff Lemire is hot right now, and people want to buy his stuff.
Yeah. Maybe that's it. Maybe they just dig the fan base, and they kind of follow him along or whatever. But, like, I kind of, I was just, like, grumpy about the Atom, being relegated to, like, a supporting character or whatever.
But I don't know, was it you or somebody, because in that video I watched on your site, somebody compared, what they compare the Atom to in that comic, the old S.H.I.E.L.D. comic books, which I just read one of the old S.H.I.E.L.D. comic books with Nick Fury, but Tony Stark was in there, but not as Iron Man. He was only...
Okay. So, like, people were thinking, he's just an advisor, but he can still be the Atom if he wants to, type thing.
Yeah. That's kind of how it is. And Tony Stark was never Iron Man in those S.H.I.E.L.D. comics. He was only as the technical guy.
Right.
Okay, and then let's see here. But those are what was canceled. But what is the new comics, the mid-season replacements, as you might say, in May, is one of them is Batman Incorporated, which I don't know why they didn't start out with that. I mean, people like that from the last DC universe. Why didn't they continue it here?
I'm guessing it probably just wasn't ready, because they're talking about, like, how many issues the artist has finished so far and that kind of thing. Like, I bet you Morrison had some scripts written, but I bet you when they started the reboot, they went, okay, stop writing Batman Incorporated and write this Action Comics stuff real quick, and then we'll release the Batman stuff later. Because I think even if they didn't do this, mid-season cancellation, mid-season replacement, or whatever you want to call it, like, I think they still would have released Batman Incorporated like they did with, like those other miniseries they've had, like the Huntress and Penguin and the Shade and stuff. I think they would have just released it of its own accord, but now they can sort of, throw it in as a replacement title.
Okay. And then because this is the first time I'm seeing this list. I'm reading Earth 2, the greatest heroes on a parallel Earth, the Justice Society,
Yeah, I'm kind
combat.
of I'm the two I'm excited about is that Earth 2 because as you know I like James Robinson, so I'm kind of excited about that. Like he wrote the Golden Age miniseries for Elseworlds. Like he
Oh,
likes all those old school Golden Age guys, so
that's,
I think he'll do right by them.
he wrote
Um,
Starman too.
so and then they have the other thing that excited me was they have the World's Finest comic, and this
Yeah.
is with Power Girl and Huntress, and it's going to be penciled by George Perez. So to me, like and it's written by Paul Levitz, who is like old school DC guy. So like to me, I've always liked he writes more like I mean, at least I'd say for me, he writes more like I'm used to reading from the 80s, if that makes any sense,
Yeah.
even in today's setting. Like he obviously he's accommodates to certain caveats of today's writing style, but he's still more of a to me a more classic. Like I remember a lot of my friends were excited about the Batman Beyond um, comic book that they had coming out from DC like a year or two back or whatever
Hmm.
it was. And the only thing I read was I think there was a special. It was like Superman Beyond or something like that, and he wrote that. And I was like, "Whoa, this is fucking awesome! Like, I really, really like this. Maybe I'll pick up the ongoing." And I read like an issue or two,
Hmm.
and I was kind of like, I only read it because all my friends were picking it up, and they hated it. Like, so it's like, and then I didn't really care for the first issue, so I just stopped reading it, so I wouldn't I was like,
Yeah.
that's too bad. But I was like, oh, if he had written, if Paul Levitz had written a bunch of them, I would have been like hyped for it. So I'm kind of hyped for it. Like he's written like Justice Society stories before, and he's a longtime Legion of Superheroes writer.
Yep.
So like I'm kind of hyped for that. And then and then what I guess everybody's going ape shit over on the CBR boards is they kind of said like, oh, it's Helena Wayne. Like it's not Helena.
Yeah, cause I'm confused. Is this the okay? Yeah, so she's the one from Earth 2, and she's coming over to the proper DC universe because it says here she's stranded on a world from a parallel reality. Huntress and Power Girl.
I think it's like how they did
Yeah,
that JSA Classified where they basically sort of re-retcon Power Girl where they're like, oh
yeah.
no she really is from Earth too. So I think they're finally doing that with Huntress where they're saying like, yeah, she's gone by all these different names, but she's actually
But hold up.
really from Earth too.
Okay, so that because I was going to ask, there was a problem. I guess it's not a problem with Mr. Terrific. Power Girl was in there, but not as Power Girl as her other
Yeah,
as
as
Karen.
Karen Starr. Yeah, I started to wonder is like, are there going to be two separate people? But I think it's basically they're just supposed to be, she. I think eventually she will be Power Girl, I guess, because I mean I'll have to read it, but
But
you
this
know,
this Power Girl is from Earth 2 though. So the one in this world's finest Huntress and Power Girl are from over there, and they're stuck in the DCNu, and they're trying to get back home to Earth 2.
right.
And then but the artists are, oh my God, George Perez, who should have been drawing that Superman instead of
Yeah, that's too bad.
right.
I wish he did draw. I did keep up with that book as well, but yeah, I do wish he had
But he's
he
drawing
had,
World's Finest though. He's drawing that, and Kevin McGuire is pencil. Or he's working. You mean Kevin McGuire, the motherfucker who did the new Defenders and all those.
yeah, and
Um,
the Justice League and all that.
oh man, I love that guy.
Yeah, so
I,
they're gonna have some good people on that.
so I look forward to that. Then there's Dial H. I assume Dial H for Hero, the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
first ongoing series from acclaimed novelist China Melville, a novelist. Why can't you just get a comic writer? This is a bold new take on a cult classic concept about the psychological effects of an everyman who accidentally gains the powers to become a hero. Even though this has been done a lot of times, but I thought it was just like the writer, the readers can write in, email your superheroes to us like they did back in the days, but they can't do that probably anymore because of copyrights and stuff like that. And then the last two, GI Combat from the 70s. So they got rid of the Men of War, but they got GI Combat, another war comic, and featuring those classics. I don't know if you remember from the 70s and early
Yeah,
80s.
yeah,
The
yeah,
War That Time Forgot, The Unknown Soldier with Graham Palmiotti, and The Haunted Tank with John R. Cutie writing. And Scott, oh, I hate Scott Collins' art, but
yeah. So like I I like Gray and Palmiotti, especially on like the Jonah Hex stuff. But they did like I think a Supergirl miniseries that was pretty good, and like I like the characters and stuff. Like I remember there was they actually did a Vertigo version of the Haunted Tank that I thought was pretty clever, where General Jeb Stuart's ancestor is actually a black Stuart in Iraq, and I thought that was hilarious. Like it's like comedy gold mine, where like you see the look on this ghost's face when he finds out his ancestor, is an African American dude. Like I really enjoyed that. It was like 5 issues or whatever, but I thought it was pretty funny. And then, but I don't know what they're going to do with it now. If it's just going to be like the classic version or whatever. But I don't know. It's funny because I saw a bunch of comments about. I know you mentioned Blackhawks was kind of like GI Joe or whatever, but like I saw some comments where people were like, GI Combat, isn't that just like GI Joe? And I kind of went, no, like
No, that's a different thing.
yeah. So I was like, no, it's not. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. What do you think about that? Because it seems like the basic message I'm getting from the cancellations is the lead ethnic character titles are getting canceled, and then the war comics are getting canceled. So like some people were saying, well, why replace if you got quote unquote 2 war comics in Blackhawk and Men of War getting canceled, why are you replacing it with GI Combat? But I mean, I don't know. Do you find something different about that, or do you kind of agree with that?
Well, I want to see GI Combat. Men of War, I wasn't excited about. For some reason, I'm excited about GI Combat because I remember that title from back in the day. And even though I didn't read it back then, I wasn't into war comics. But like you said, now you got different tastes. I got different, and I kind of have a nostalgia for that, or see what they can bring to it if they bring it up to date. That's probably going to be expensive, as Men of War was. It's probably going to be
it's probably going to be one of those
$4 or $5.
Yeah,
because they got 3. Yeah, JT Kroll is writing the main story, The War That Time Forgot.
yeah. They did a 12-issue miniseries back in I think it was like 2006 or 2005 or something. It was by Bruce Jones. And it was kind of the same kind of, War That Time Forgot spiel, where it's like a bunch of different soldiers from different eras, and, they're fighting dinosaurs and all kinds of weird, kooky ass shit, future aliens and stuff like that. Some of that stuff is kind of interesting. It's kind of cool. Like, I kind of get into it. Like, but Unknown Soldier and the Haunted Tank were always staples of GI Combat. I liked, did you read that Vertigo Unknown Soldier comic that came out before?
I only read 1 issue, but it was really good.
Yeah, I think it's pretty, it's a heavy book, like it deals with a lot of stuff, but I totally appreciate the research that went into it. Like you can tell the guy knows his shit about what he's writing about, So like I thought that was pretty cool.
I wonder if this is going to be the same, or Gray and Palmiotti may change it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like to me, and this is not, this is kind of a slam on Batwing, but a pro for that Unknown Soldier comic. But I kind of felt like Batwing was like Unknown Soldier Express or Unknown Soldier Light. It was like the McDonald's Express version of it, where it's like, oh, we'll slap Batman costume on the guy and not make it quite as heavy. We'll make it a little simpler. So.
Yeah, and you just hardly got the sense that it was in Africa. Besides the uniforms when he was a cop, I'm like I wasn't feeling. It just felt like an American bad guy versus good guy.
Right.
But this here, this could be good Unknown Soldier. If it's, I don't know if it's the same Unknown Soldier. It might be a different
or it could go back to like more of the classic version where he's like a disguise artist and stuff, and is always changing his face and stuff. I don't know.
Then the last comic is Ravagers by Howard Mackey and Ian Churchill. Oh, Ian Churchill, who did
Marine Man.
Yeah.
Who and I wonder you discussed a bunch about. I have not read Marine Man, but I did listen to the podcast about it, so it intrigued me.
You might dig it if you like that.
I saw like they were comparing like some scans, because I'm used to the Rob Liefeld version of Ian Churchill when he was like kind of aping Liefeld's style, with all the cross hatching and lines and stuff.
I heard
and then
about
and then I saw like somebody showed like a cover or a picture of Marine Man, and they're like, oh, his style's different now, and I kind
Yeah.
of looked at that and I was like, oh, okay, I see what they're saying. I mean, I don't mind either, to be honest. Like, I'm not, to me, I'm not like jumping for joy that Hawk and Dove was canceled, even though I know a lot of people like hate Rob Liefeld's guts or whatever. But like I was like, it's funny because when I announced the news on one of my boards, it's like basically one of my buddies is like, it's a sad day everywhere for black and blue people, because he's talking about like OMAC and the Batwing or the what is it the other
Yeah, the
shoes,
black
Mr.
kids.
Terrific and
Yeah.
then I kind of responded to him, yes, and orange conservatives everywhere are also
Mhm.
sad, and stuff like that. But yeah, that's basically. I mean, what's odd though? Did you see the
What?
news that like to me this is another thing that doesn't make sense, kind of like I was talking about like the war comics getting replaced with another war comic. Like
Uh-huh.
Rob Liefeld's book got canceled, right? He's going to take over as the ongoing artist on Deathstroke. And
Ah.
and he's plotting Grifter and Hawkman.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. Oh, wait a minute, no. Are you sure he's? I think he's writing. Is he writing Deathstroke or? Because somebody said he's writing something, or you
Yeah,
said he.
he's I know it said he's plotting Hawkman and Grifter, so I'm
Okay,
assuming
that's
he's not going to do the art on it, but he's going to start giving ideas for stories. And then Deathstroke, he's definitely like totally taking over because it sounds like something he'd write. It's like basically like Deathstroke goes up against the baddest bounty hunter in the universe, Lobo. And I'm like, dude, this is going to be spectacularly, terrifically, awfully awesome.
yeah.
Like it's
'Cause-
like basically Blood Wolf versus Deadpool. He gets to actually play with the real characters instead of the knockoffs he made. But
uh,
not that it's going to be any good. But like I just, dude, I don't know. Like that, I'm kind of excited about. Just like kind of like in an all-star Batman way, where I wanna see the car crash. Like
okay.
it's going to be
Well,
awesome.
but somebody was lamenting that, and they was like, "Oh man, I love Deathstroke," and I'm like, "Wait a minute, they canceled Deathstroke?" But no, they didn't. I guess they were lamenting the fact that Rob is going to be involved with
Yeah, yeah. Now he's
it.
and that's kind of weird to me, just because I'm like, wait, I mean, technically, right? His book was on the chopping block and did get put on the chopping block, right? So I was kind of like, so why are they? I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, man, because maybe they say it's the writing and not the artist, because he does have a following of people.
Yeah,
But
yeah, maybe.
I can't. But I hate the people who just apologize for him. Where I mean, it's like, why don't you lay off the guy? It's been 20 years. He's been. I'm like, yeah, it's been 20 years and he still suck. Why are y'all defending him? Because the first thing they say is, I'm no Liefeld. I'm not a Liefeld fan. But why are you? Why is everybody jumping on him? Why do people have a problem when they see people? It's just online stuff, y'all. Who cares that a lot of
Well,
people
but
don't
that,
like him?
that that's what what's funny is there was a really cool blog that Liefeld wrote about how he treats it, and he doesn't. I mean, to him, all those negative comments are like skin off his back. Like he doesn't
Yeah,
really, care too much about that. I mean, I guess, if you're in any kind of entertainment field, you kind of have to take the good you get and
exactly.
sort of, weed out or disregard like too much of the negative stuff. Because if you start paying attention to everything, you're going to drive yourself crazy. And that's probably something he seemed to learn really early on. I mean, I don't think like I said, I yuck it up about the man boobs and all the funny
Yeah.
stuff that went on and that kind of thing. But at the same time, it's like pouches and all that kind of stuff. But the stuff that I saw from him that I thought was really terrible lately was that Deadpool core book. Like it's just the art was.
Oh, he did a Deadpool. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's
yeah.
too
It's
bad.
like it's
Huh.
if if like somebody wants to review a really terrible comic book, like there it is. Like I don't even know how to describe it other than I think the inking really stunk, or maybe they didn't want to cover up for Rob Liefeld's half-ass pencils or whatever. But it just that book, I remember looking at it and going, wow, this is tough to look at. It's not even like Hawk and Dove where like you could tell somebody inked it and it looks kind of cool, and they tried to fake backgrounds with like colors and make the shit look sort of nice and presentable. It's like on that book, I was like, oh, this looks awful. But yeah.
I don't care what nobody say. He didn't draw that Hawk and Dove from 19 like the early like
Oh, oh, oh,
89.
you know what? You know what it is though.
That was
that's
Kessel.
Carl Kiesel. You know, like he.
But people always say Rob Liefeld did. You know, he
Well,
started
but
out.
that's the thing. Like he inked it. He probably helped him draw all the hands and feet because you know Rob Liefeld can't draw those, right? And then the other thing that's true is I remember he kept like sending in pages and they went, oh, you know, kid, you didn't draw any backgrounds. So like that's what cracks me up about that original or original, but you know the old Liefeld miniseries from like the '80s is that. There, if you look on every panel, there's all these. It kind of reminds me of the way like the Japanese do the manga.
Oh,
You know, where they
yeah,
have tons of assistants, or like
yeah,
that ass fuck Pat Lee, where he doesn't draw anything, and like everybody draws all the cool like monitors and techno shit in the background, and it's like assistant slave who he probably has
yeah.
chained in his fucking kitchen or some shit. Like it's like that pisses me off because I don't know if it's just because I was raised with American comics or whatever, but I don't get that like people that like slave away for like no recognition. Like I assume you know stuff like that happens you know in like the soundtrack industry and other industries as well. You know like you know ghostwriters and whatnot. But I just I don't know
I can respect it because like the Japanese, they see the comics like a movie, and they're able to produce more by doing it that way, where they have a whole bunch of people working on it, rather than just one guy.
yeah.
And I think it's kind of cool, but I don't. It's not because basically they are this, but they probably don't see it as slavery. Like they working with these great comic greats
Mm.
who work their way up the same way, and they'll be able to work their way up by drawing backgrounds for them and
Yeah.
stuff.
Well,
But
I don't know who
he
drew.
probably abuses
I
it.
don't know who drew those crates in 1986 for Rob Liefeld, but whoever he is, I hope he's got work now. Just-
Probably Carl Kessel. I think Carl Kessel did the whole damn thing and just drew over the ink, drew over those pencils, but didn't even look like it didn't even look like Liefeld at the end of the day. He just penciled over it and inked over it with his own, because that's all Carl Kessel in my opinion. But the other two things. Oh, there was some. Oh, real quick, I want to name the characters that Rob Liefeld created that went on to be actually good characters, like Deadpool, even though he's a ripoff of Deathstroke. And there was somebody, Cable, which I don't know if he's a good character, but he's still going on. He's still an industry by
well,
itself.
yeah, he endures. I sort of enjoyed the Lone
So-
Wolf and Cable title that was out not too long ago. Like that wasn't too bad, you know.
And I just wanted to tell you, I saw the last two episodes of History of Comics on Film, Derek's series, The Incredible Hulk. That's what I was waiting for, the '70s, The Incredible Hulk TV series. He recaps. And it turns out to be like it's a documentary. This ain't no episode. It's a
Yeah,
50.
it's about an hour long, so you gotta invest some time to watch it if you check it out. But yeah, I figure since it's like 5 seasons worth of stuff, you know, it's like I managed to sort of condense it into you know about an hour. So and hopefully I did a good job of
No,
trying to
you
cover
did
it
very
everything.
good job. Yeah, you very. And I want to go out and get those seasons because you can get the seasons real cheap, all five together. And but you went through each season how because you know how things get better with each season.
Yeah, I
The
tried.
production gets
You know,
better.
I think when I do the videos, like if there's something that really, really, really is atrocious, I might want to bring it up. But I kind of have to pick and choose. But I tend to like to focus on what I consider the positives of my experience. I mean, unless it's something that I just think is all around awful. You know, so like that's kind of what I enjoy focusing on. And you know, I'm hard at work at you know trying to release some other stuff here. I sort of have been doing some of the easier ones to do first, like that don't take me as long to do. So by the time, hopefully by next week, I should have a slew of releases, maybe like 3 or 4, you know, that'll be out. But you know,
Okay,
so
I look forward to
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Because what are you? Are you still in the '70s or are you in the '80s
No,
now?
no,
Or
I'm still in the '70s. Like hopefully this year I'll finish the '70s because like I've got about maybe I don't know like 10 or 15 more things to go. Like you know the upcoming stuff is a fan on YouTube was kind enough to remind me that I skipped the Superman musical because I guess I wiped it from my mind or whatever. I don't know. But I went, oh yeah. I for some reason I don't know why. I guess I was thinking that that took place around the same time as the Superman the movie. So I don't know. I sort of forgot about it, and then I was kind of like, oh yeah. I guess that came out in 1975. So I made a little, because some of the ones that I forget about, like I go back and just make a .5 episode. So like I made a video of that. The It's a Bird, It's a Plane. So that's finished. It's just once I finish everything, I think I'm gonna release these four like concurrently once I have them all ready to go in order. The next one, episode 51, the one after Spider-Man, is going to be, it's another Archie thing that I just finished editing this weekend. So that's all ready to go. It's the Archie and Sabrina surprise package, which is like the last Filmation Archie Sabrina cartoon or whatever. So I cover that, but I was like, you know what? I know not as many people watch the Archie ones as like the superhero ones, but I still want to do them justice and stuff. So like I kind of, I was like, okay, I'll make sure I do all these Archie ones, but I'll have a Superman one to go along with it, and then I'm gonna have a Super Friends one. So I'm like, oh well, if hopefully people will like those because they got Superman and Batman, and those usually they get a lot of people to watch those and stuff. And then there after that, there's one more Archie thing, which is I only have the one copy of it. It's like a pilot. It's the Archie Situation Variety Musical Comedy Hour or whatever special or something. Basically, there were two pilots in '76 and '78. I only have the one from '78. It's a terrible fucking copy. So hopefully, if people watch that, they don't hate it too much because it's like that's the best I got. I don't.
It's live action.
Yeah, it's live action. It's them doing comedy sketch bits and singing songs and basically the whole bit. But I basically try to summarize it and give people the best joke bits and stuff like that, and hopefully give people some information. It's actually really really difficult for me to do the Archie shit because there's not a lot of information out there, and sometimes it's hard to.
Well, Archie?
Yeah, yeah. For me, like it's difficult because like I want to confirm things and make sure I say the right stuff. Like when I did the last Archie video I did, I was kind of like, hey, when does Chuck Clayton appear? And I'm like, you'd think that'd be important. Like it's the first. It's the first.
You can't find that nowhere.
No. I found it eventually, and I put it in the video. But check this out. Like you'd think the first African American character in Archie, like that would be a big deal, right? So if you go to the Wikipedia page, man, Wikipedia sucks. And like it's like you go to the Wikipedia page, you go there right now, it'll say something like, yeah, Chuck Clayton appears in Pep Comics 300 whatever to 300 question mark. Like that's not a first appearance, and it's totally wrong, by the way. Like it's like it tells you some issue from like 1977 or something, and he first appeared in like 1971. So it's like, and it's like I had to do a bunch of digging on some message boards, and then nobody knew for sure. And then eventually, what I've been using lately, and hopefully it's accurate. Like some of it, I question because sometimes it's hard for me to verify because I'll have to go out and either get scans of the comics or buy the comics or whatever and figure it out. But sometimes like I don't know for sure, so I'll ask people like, do you own this? Is this what happens and stuff like that? And so there's a website called Comic Book Database, and they have like a nice feature where you can look at chronological order listings of people's appearances and stuff. And so sometimes I'll go there and double check my facts and stuff and make sure. So hopefully like this last batch of characters I've done justice, but it's entirely conceivable that I may have made a mistake or two, but most people haven't yet called me on it. So I mean, it's like if somebody thinks I did make a mistake, then tell me, but hopefully I'm doing justice to Archie characters because for me it's I put in a lot of research on that because I don't know everything about that up front for the most part. So
okay, cool. Well, I look forward to that. I'm a big Archie fan, so I'm
and so like most of those are done. I'm working on the Super Friends one because it's going to be the first Filmation Archie thing, and then Super Friends, and then the other Archie thing. And once I have the Super Friends thing done, I'll release all four of those videos and stuff. So
and that's because there's not that much really no Archie live action stuff. I know there was a movie called Return to Riverdale.
Yeah, there's that, and then I did the one about the pilot from '64, and I've never seen a copy of the pilot from '62. So like a lot of that stuff, like I said, it's been hard to scrounge up stuff. I kind of look on like websites and shows, like see people's bootleg stuff. But like I said, that this video that I have of the sort of semi not so good quality, like that's pretty much the best I could find. So hopefully people enjoy it. But well, whatever. Like I'll make do with it. So.
Okay, cool. Well, before we get out of here, I did want to ask you about WonderCon. It's moving here up there from San Francisco, where you live, down here to
okay.
Anaheim.
Okay, interesting.
So I didn't know. I thought there would be a big backlash, but if you ain't heard nothing
No,
about
no, no.
it,
I haven't. I don't think I saw any news about it, and it's like I don't know if there's a big backlash or not. Maybe it's better that it's in Anaheim. I don't know. But wow, okay, that's interesting. So I guess there's no big cons up in the north now where I am. It's all going to be rinky-dink stuff. But I haven't gone to a con in a long time. It's funny. I thought about going to one con, the last
past one, yeah, and I
stuff, but I guess I didn't.
I was going to go, but then I had to cancel to do something else. But I was looking forward to going this year because I was going to go. I said, hella high road. I was going to go this year to see San Francisco and a Comic-Con in San Francisco, but it's not there anymore. Now I got to go down to Anaheim, which is not that far from here, but it's not a different place. So that'll be interesting. But I haven't heard any backlash, so I guess nobody's really offended. Maybe people want to come down here so they can go to LA, hang out.
Yeah, so maybe they're thinking people end up going to Disneyland and all that other stuff.
Yeah. So it's good for them. All right, so I guess then that's the episode, man. Thank you for joining me on this. You think sometime in the near future we could do volume 3?
Yeah, that'd be great, dude.
Cool, bet. Then you find y'all in the audience, if you want to comment on this episode, go to doomcast.blogspot.com. Also check out the new Doomcast Facebook page. Derek, what you got?
You can see the history of comics on film videos at hocof.blogspot.com. And if you want to check out, I do a podcast with a cool group of guys. It's called Fanholes. So you can see that at fanholespodcast.blogspot.com. And sometimes we do like special projects and the other guys work on stuff. So like I've been helping out a buddy of mine from that podcast, and he does his own set of videos and written blogs called Retrovirus Movies. So he kind of reviews like old, obscure kind of movies and stuff like that. And so that's retrovirusmovies.blogspot.com. But yeah, any of that stuff, it's got my stamp of approval because I've worked on all of it. So
cool. All right, cool. Once again, thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you soon or talk to you soon.
Yeah, definitely
on the show.
All right,
man.
Thanks, man. Thanks, listeners. Take care.
Have a nice one.